Hey guys, in this video, I want to go ahead and step you through basically what all is required for a pawn or a character to really implement the system. So to begin, starting with the movement component, this movement component is optional. The only reason it's there is because I've added some different features that make things a little bit easier. So for example, our movement and all that kind of stuff, we have simple move forward, right, up, turn, and look up functions that you can call just to kind of simplify some stuff, as well as some additives like increasing our speed and decreasing our speed in a manner that is predicted and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's done through the character movement component. Now, the core to this entire plugin is the map editor handler. So this map editor handler acts almost like an interface for the rest of the system. So basically all you have to do is just add it to your character. So if I search for SKG, you'll see SKG MLE handler. You can add it to it. That's what this guy is. And all you have to do is on begin play and or event possessed, call init. And that'll basically initialize everything that you really need. And from there on forth, it's basically just calling stuff. So I'll go ahead and uncheck here. And this will basically give us a free pawn without any of the UI. So I can select, I can edit, I can still do all the stuff like before, just no HUD. Everything else is pretty much optional. So moving on, the only thing that we have for our HUD is basically we create it. So we create our HUD and we set our input mode to be game and UI, and that is literally it. It's a little bit complicated because I made it a little bit ugly, unfortunately, but I need to go through and clean this up. But all it's really doing is if our widget does not exist, meaning it's not valid, we go ahead and create it, set it, and add it to our viewport. If it does exist, or it is valid, and it is not in our viewport, then we go ahead and add it to our viewport, and then again, set our input mode to game and UI. That is all it does. Now, covering some of the settings here, we have our trace collision channel. Now, this is for selection. So if you are starting from a fresh project, let's go to project settings. Underneath of engine, we have collision. You will see our trace channels. So I'll go ahead and make a new one, and I'll just set it to ignore by default and call it example. So I'll go ahead and accept and change our trace collision channel to be example. Now let's go ahead and go to one of our example objects, such as this guy here. So that'll be the one off to the side. We're going to go to its mesh, go down to collision presets, and right now example is ignore. I'm going to go ahead and set it to block and hit play, and now I can click, but nothing happens. But if I head over to this guy where we set it to block, now I can select this guy, I can manipulate it, and all that kind of stuff. So I can delete it, so on and so on. And that's all done through the collision channel. So it's basically what channel do you want to use to make certain things selectable and not selectable. And that goes for pretty much every single mesh. So if I head over to this double mesh, so that'll be this guy right here. What I can do is I can set the main to block it, and the secondary will still be ignore. So the red is ignore. So if I click on the red, nothing happens, but if I click on the main, it selects them both. And I can flip-flop. So I can set the secondary to block it and the primary main to ignore it. Press play now. I can select not this guy, the main, but I can select the secondary. So it just kind of, again, it all kind of depends on you. So we're going to go ahead and delete our example channel and set this back to be the provided level editor. Moving on, we have our default snapping configuration. So this is for basically how you want it to start with. So by default, we have it set to 10 for the location and 10 for the rotation, and snapping is enabled for both. If we wanted to, so for example, I press play and select this guy, as you can see, snapping is on by default. We can just simply make it off by default. So I press play now. Now I can rotate freely and move freely. And if I want to go through and change it, I can go ahead and enable both the location and the rotation, snapping, and we are good to go. Next up is our max select distance. So this is basically how far do we want to test before we don't even try. So if I change this to 100, or let's do actually 500, that should be a good distance. I can get up close, I can click, I can select, I can click, but I can't select because none of these are close enough except for this guy. So if I go back up a little bit, I can't select, go forward some, and I can select. So that's your selection distance there. I just leave it basically at 100,000 for, I guess, really far away selections. It's up to you to tinker with. Now our replication delay. This is pretty much how do you want, or how often / fast do you want the system to replicate. So I'll go ahead and play with a new editor window. I really need to actually set these to be adjusted by default. But here I am as the client. I'll go ahead and select this guy. And I'll actually turn off snapping really quick. And you can see on the server's view, it's lagging behind a little bit. So it's got like that kind of stutter. And that's because it's updating every 0.1 seconds. Now you can tweak this to really be kind of whatever rate you like. If I did it for a whole second, you can kind of imagine what that is going to be like. So if I grab this guy here, I'll move it up, wait for it, and there we go. So basically we're waiting a whole entire second for the update to really kind of hit. And anytime you release, it will go back. So obviously that's a little bit too high for the system to handle, but a general good default is somewhere less than a second, but also more than or equal to 0.1. That's just what I would leave it at personally, unless you really, for whatever reason, needed to have it be less. Next up is the perform movement mode check. So this will automatically do checks for you if you do not want to do them yourself. So basically things like grabbing, I cannot do if I'm in movement mode. So for example, if I'm flying around and I'm left clicking on stuff, I am not, I'm not allowed to click it. But if I uncheck it, this might still not work because my inputs, yeah, it does. So I can see I'm flying around and I'm left clicking and stuff is being selected. So this is like an automatic way of preventing you from having to grab the map editor handler component, do a check of is in movement mode, perform a branch, and if we are not in movement mode, then performing these actions. So that's what it's there for. Then we have our map directory. So previously in I think it was the very last video I did through and I saved and loaded a map. So here we see we have a new directory called maps, and this is just where it saves. So you kind of control from the root of your project, where do you want the map directory to place, well, your maps. So in my case, it just places them in a folder called maps. Pretty simple enough. And let's see, I think that's basically everything that needs to be covered. That kind of covers the bulk of it. And that's really all you need to get started. I will cover these in a separate video as this more so pertains to UI usage. So we have some events and delegates that get set up, and I'll show you how to use those and how they are used in the example UI. But yeah, that pretty much wraps us up. So I will see you in the next video.